I was grading 4th grade math tests on a Tuesday evening when my phone shattered my peaceful world. "Emma!" Ryan's voice exploded through the speaker. "Congratulations, the bank just approved everything." I nearly dropped little Sarah's fraction worksheet. "Congratulations for what?" "Your home equity loan, $85,000. This changes everything for our family." My stomach dropped. "Ryan, what loan? I didn't apply for anything." "For the family lake house. Your credit score made it possible. You're incredible, sis." The math test slipped from my trembling fingers. What? I never applied for any loan." "Don't worry about details," he rushed on with that manic excitement I knew too well. "Once the bakery takes off, we'll pay you back with interest." My hands weren't just shaking, they were trembling like I was freezing in my own warm house. "Ryan, stop. I did not apply for any loan." But he was gone, leaving me staring at 23 ungraded papers and a world that had just tilted sideways. Have you ever had your family casually mention something that makes your blood turn to ice? When they talk about your money, your credit, your life, like you're not even a person who gets a vote? I grabbed my phone, opened our family group chat, the one where I was always the last to respond if I responded at all. "Mum, Emma's always been our rock, so responsible with money." Sarah, "We're so grateful Emma's making this dream possible." Dad, "Can't wait to see the property this weekend." I scrolled frantically, looking for where they'd asked me, where they'd mentioned this loan, this lake house, this anything, nothing. Just them planning my financial future without me. I stumbled to my mailbox in slippers, hands shaking. There it was, thick envelope from First National Bank. "Home equity line of credit. Approved." My name, my address, my social security number, and at the bottom, a signature that looked like mine, but wasn't. The E in Emma was too rounded. I always made sharp, precise angles. I stared at that forged signature and whispered, "I never signed this." But when I logged into my credit monitoring app, the number glowing on my screen made me physically sick. $85,000. Gone. Let me tell you who I am, because it matters. I'm Emma Chen, 29, 4th grade teacher for 8 years. I saved for 3 years to buy my small house, 3 years of packed lunches and skipped movies, driving my Honda until it sounded like a dying robot. That house was mine. The first thing that was ever truly, completely mine. And my family had just used it as their personal piggy bank. I scrolled through social media with new eyes. Dad's birthday dinner, the one I couldn't make because I was so busy with school stuff, except I was never invited. Mum's book club vacation to Cabo, Ryan and Sarah's anniversary trip to Napa, all these moments of joy, connection, celebration, and I was funding them from the outside. "We didn't invite you because we knew you'd worry about the cost," Mum had said about Dad's birthday. But here's what made my chest tight with panic. Every family crisis, every emergency, every opportunity in 5 years had one thing in common. Me, my checkbook, my credit, Ryan's failed food truck. I co-signed the debt payoff. Mum and Dad's emergency air conditioner, my credit card, Sarah's car down payment, my savings account. Every single time. And what did I get back? I got to eat dinner alone on my birthday while they celebrated Ryan's latest sure thing business venture. I got to find out about my cousin's engagement through Facebook. I got to spend Christmas morning grading papers because we knew you'd want to rest instead of dealing with family chaos. I pulled out my laptop and started calculating, really looking at my bank statements for the first time in years. Car down payment for Ryan, $3,000. Bakery equipment, $5,500. Emergency rent help, $1,200. Mum's dental work, $800. Sarah's business course, $2,400. thousands of dollars flowing out of my life and into theirs. And in return, I got to be alone. I got to be the stable one who doesn't need emotional support like the rest of us. I found my old, desperate text messages. Can I come to dinner Sunday? Are you sure you don't want help with the party? The responses were always the same. You're so busy with school stuff. We didn't want to impose. Maybe next time. Next time never came. Sitting there with my forged loan documents, I realized the truth. I hadn't been their sister for years. I'd been their ATM, their insurance policy, their backup plan. And the worst part? I'd been so grateful for scraps of attention that I'd convinced myself this was love. That's when I decided to find out how deep this betrayal really went. I didn't sleep. Instead, I built a timeline of my own financial destruction, and each piece of evidence made the picture clearer and more sickening. The food truck wasn't just a co-signed loan. I'd also paid for Ryan's permits, certifications, even initial inventory. Total $8,000, money I'd saved for a vacation I never took. Then the dropshipping business, $4,500 for inventory that ended up rotting in my garage. But here's what really made my hands shake. I'd never been invited to see any of it. Not the food truck, not the warehouse, and apparently not the bakery either. Last month, I'd noticed Mum and Dad's kitchen looked completely different. New cabinets, granite countertops, stainless appliances. When I asked about it, Mum was evasive. Just some updates, nothing major. Nothing major. I looked at my own kitchen, same 1987 laminate counters, cabinet door that stuck, dishwasher that sounded like a freight train. I'd been living like a broke college student while funding their dream renovations. My credit report made my stomach drop. Inquiries everywhere. Auto loans, credit cards, personal loans from companies I'd never heard of. All within 18 months. A text from Sarah popped up. Emma, you're going to love the lake house plans. Perfect spot on the water. Can't wait for family barbecues. Family barbecues. With the family that never invited me to barbecues. I screenshot it and created a folder. Evidence. Digging deeper into their social media revealed the systematic exclusion. Dad's retirement party I couldn't make, except I was never invited. Mum's book club carbo trip. First-class seats at a resort costing more per night than I made in a week. A resort I'd apparently helped fund. Then I found the text that made my blood run cold. Mum to Aunt Linda. Emma loves helping out. She's told us how fulfilling it is to support family dreams. I'd never said that. Ever. But there it was. My mother telling our extended family I was happy to be their personal bank. The gaslighting was so complete they'd convinced everyone, including me, that I was a willing participant in my own destruction. At 3 a.m. I broke down completely, sobbing on my kitchen floor, questioning my own memory, my own sanity. But then I looked at that forged signature again. The rounded E I never, ever made. And I knew. Love doesn't require forgery. Family doesn't need fraud. I started photographing everything. Every document, every text, every social media post, showing them living off my money while excluding me from my own family. If you've ever questioned your own memory because of family gaslighting, you know this feeling. That moment when you realize you're not crazy, you're just being used. But what I discovered next revealed something much darker than I'd imagined. The next morning I called in sick, first time in 3 years, and drove to First National Bank. Your application was submitted online at 2:17 a.m. on March 15th, the mortgage broker Patricia told me. My heart stopped. I was asleep at 2:17 a.m. It was the night before parent-teacher conferences. "Mum, is everything all right?" Patricia asked, studying my face. She showed me the signature authorization, not just my forged signature, but scans of my driver's license, social security card, even a utility bill. Perfect documentation someone had carefully prepared. I drove straight to my parents' house. They weren't home, but I had a key for emergencies. Dad's filing cabinet held a folder labelled Emma Financial. Inside, copies of my tax returns going back 5 years, photocopies of my credit cards front and back, my social security card, birth certificate, even my passport. They had everything needed to steal my identity, and they'd been collecting it for years. But that wasn't the worst part. In the back were business credit card applications, 3 of them, all in my name, all approved, all with balances I'd never seen. I photographed everything with steady hands, then put it back exactly as found. On my way out, I checked their mailbox. Mixed with their mail was an envelope addressed to me. Mail forwarding I'd never authorized. Inside, a credit card statement for an account I'd never opened. Balance $12,000. All charges at casinos, online poker sites, cryptocurrency exchanges. Ryan wasn't building a bakery. Ryan was gambling with my credit. My phone rang. Janet, my teaching colleague. Emma, when's the last time you ate a real meal? You look exhausted. You've been losing weight. I looked in my rearview mirror and saw what she was seeing. Dark circles, clothes hanging loose. When had survival become so consuming I'd forgotten to live? Just family stuff, Janet, nothing I can't handle alone. Honey, you don't have to handle everything alone. That's not strength. That's survival. And there's a difference. Back at my parents' house, I found architectural plans on the kitchen counter. Beautiful drawings of a 3-bedroom lake house with wraparound porch and private dock. At the bottom, total construction cost $340,000. My $85,000 wasn't even a quarter of what they needed. I found more loan applications in Dad's desk. Second mortgages, personal loans, even borrowing against his retirement. They weren't just stealing from me, they were destroying themselves financially and planning to take me down with them. The real shock was Sarah's notebook, left open on the kitchen table. Pages of handwriting practice. My signature over and over, getting more accurate each time. At the top, in her handwriting, Emma, backup plan if Ryan defaults. They thought I was their insurance policy, their naive little sister who would always bail them out, always say yes, always sacrifice herself for the family good. But they'd underestimated me. I started making phone calls. Credit card companies, banks, credit bureaus. I reported every unauthorized account, every forged signature, every fraudulent transaction. Then I called a locksmith. While waiting, I found the email that revealed their true plan. Dad's account. He'd never changed his password from our childhood dog's name. Subject line, exit strategy, Ryan to Dad. If gambling debts catch up, we can sell the lake house and declare bankruptcy. Emma will understand. Sarah to Mom. She's too trusting to press charges. Family loyalty and all that. Mom to Dad. Emma's been our safety net so long, she doesn't know how to say no. They weren't just planning to steal my present. They were planning to destroy my future and counting on my love to protect them from consequences. That's when I found the email that changed everything. Ryan to Sarah 3 days earlier. House appraisal came back at $220,000. After the lake house, we can take another equity loan on Emma's place. Time it with bankruptcy filing, pocket the cash. She gets stuck with debt. She won't understand the legal stuff anyway. Sarah's response made my vision blur. Perfect. If she gets suspicious, your mom can play the family emergency card. Emma falls for it every time. They were laughing about how easy I was to manipulate. I sat in my living room, in my house that I'd saved 3 years to buy, and felt something crystallize inside me. The part that had always bent, always accommodated, always sacrificed. It hardened into something unbreakable. I spent 2 weeks becoming strategic. I froze every account they had access to, changed every password, every security question, installed a security system, changed locks. I bought a recording device and started carrying it everywhere. The beautiful thing about being underestimated? People say things around you they'd never say if they thought you were a threat. Like at Ryan's birthday dinner, first family gathering I'd been invited to in months, where they planned my destruction right in front of me. Lake house construction starts next month, Dad announced, thanks to Emma's generous loan. Perfect for family gatherings, Mom added. Emma, you'll love having a place to write during summer break. Right, as if they knew anything about my dreams beyond my bank account. How's the bakery going, Ryan? I asked innocently, phone recording in my purse. He shifted uncomfortably. Great, really picking up steam, should be profitable any day. Wonderful, I'd love to see it sometime. Deafening silence. Sarah jumped in. It's not ready for visitors yet. Still setting up. Of course not, because it didn't exist. That night I called a family meeting at my house. They arrived panicked. Their cards had been declined, accounts frozen. Emma, thank God, Mom rushed in. Something's wrong with our accounts. We can't buy groceries. Nothing's wrong, I said calmly. I finally solved the problem. What problem? Dad frowned. Are you having another episode? Another episode, as if my reasonable reactions to their theft were mental instability. I'm not having an episode, Dad. I'm having a revelation. I returned with a thick folder filled with evidence. Bank statements, forged signatures, credit applications, photos of Sarah's handwriting practice. I set it on the coffee table like a bomb. Ryan, tell everyone about the bakery. His face went white. What do you mean? Tell them about the bakery, or I'll tell them about the gambling. Absolute silence. Sarah grabbed Ryan's hand. Mom and Dad looked between us like spectators at a match they didn't understand. I can explain, Ryan whispered. Can you? Explain using my identity for crypto gambling? Explain Sarah practicing my signature? Explain planning to steal my house? I spread evidence across my coffee table like cards. Family doesn't commit identity theft, but strangers do. I played the recording from dinner. Should be profitable any day now. Then the recording from when I'd called his landlord. Sir, there's no business at that address. Never has been. Mum's hand flew to her mouth. Ryan, is this true? But I had one more recording, the one that would end everything. Ryan's voice slurred and careless. Emma, there is no bakery, never was. I've been gambling everything, trying to win big enough to pay you back. Sarah said you'd never figure it out because you trust us too much. Mom and Dad know. They've known for months. The look of shock when they realised their naive little Emma had been 3 steps ahead. Mum started crying. Dad sat back like he'd been punched. Sarah looked ready to run. Ryan got angry. You recorded me. You're spying on family. My family wouldn't steal from me for 2 years, I replied. My family wouldn't forge my signature or plan to take my house. I pulled out the final evidence, their exit strategy emails. Family asks before they take. Family includes you in decisions about your own money. Family doesn't laugh about manipulating you. I'm giving you a choice, I said steadily. You have until Monday at 9 a.m. Structured repayment plan, or I file criminal charges for identity theft, fraud and forgery. Emma, please, Dad found his voice. We can work this out. We're family. No, family is what I thought we were. What we actually are is people who share DNA, some of whom have been committing felonies. I looked at each of them clearly for the first time in years. 48 hours. The locks are changed. Don't come back unless it's to tell me how you're fixing what you broke. The stunned silence as they realised their insurance policy had just cancelled coverage. It was the most peaceful sound I'd heard in years. Monday morning at 8:47 a.m, my doorbell rang. All four stood on my porch looking sleepless, Mom's eyes swollen from crying. Dad looked smaller, older. Ryan couldn't meet my eyes. Sarah hung back like she wanted to disappear. "We need to talk," Dad said quietly. I let them in but offered no comfort. This wasn't social. Finally, Mum spoke. "Emma, we thought you'd always be there. We didn't know how to survive without you." "That's not love, Mom. That's parasitism." She flinched, but I continued. "For years you've treated me like I exist to solve your problems. Excluded me from joy, included me in costs, made me feel guilty for boundaries and grateful for scraps." "We never meant," Dad started. "Yes, you did. You planned it. Sarah practiced my signature. Ryan opened accounts in my name. You collected my documents, intercepted my mail. This wasn't desperation. This was systematic exploitation." Ryan looked up. "I'm sick, Emma. I have a gambling problem." "I know, I'm glad you're admitting it. But being sick doesn't give you the right to steal. Being desperate doesn't justify identity theft. Being family doesn't mean I enable you." I pulled out new papers. "I've spoken with a lawyer. Here's what happens." Their faces went white. Ryan enters real gambling treatment. Sarah moves back with her parents. All of you sign a structured repayment agreement. Every fraudulent charge, every unauthorized loan, it's documented here. 5-year repayment with interest. "And if we don't?" Sarah whispered. "Criminal charges, identity theft, fraud, forgery, federal crimes, prison time." "One more thing," I continued. "I'm keeping the lake house. The loan was in my name, using my house as collateral. Legally mine. I'm finishing construction, but it's my writing retreat, not your gathering place." Mum's voice was barely audible. "You're destroying this family." "I'm not destroying anything. I'm saving myself from people who were destroying me." They signed. What choice did they have? After they left, I sat in my quiet house and realized the constant anxiety, the tight feeling I'd carried for years. It was gone. For the first time in forever, I could breathe deeply. 9 months later, I'm sitting on the dock of my lake house, but everything's different now. The notebook in my lap is full of stories that became my book, The Family ATM, Recognizing and Recovery from Financial Abuse. It started as therapy homework but became a local bestseller. The emails poured in, hundreds from people recognizing their own families in my story. "I thought I was the only one," wrote Sarah from Oregon. "My sisters used my credit for 10 years. My parents convinced me paying their mortgage was helping with expenses," wrote Marcus from Texas. "I lived in a studio while they renovated with my money." I wasn't alone. That's how the support group started. Every Tuesday, 8 of us meet downtown. Recovering ATMs, we call ourselves. We practice saying no, role-play difficult conversations, celebrate victories. "Emma," Jennifer said last week, "you saved my life. I was drowning funding my family's lifestyle, thinking it was love. Now I know the difference. The difference, that's what it comes down to. I learned the difference between being needed and being valued, between helping and enabling, between love and manipulation, between family and people who share your DNA. My real family surrounds me now. Janet's here with her husband, grading papers. David, yes, I'm dating someone who thinks boundaries are attractive, not selfish, builds a fire. Support group friends Lisa and Jennifer make dinner, debating whether my next book should cover emotional manipulation or workplace boundaries. This is chosen family, people who celebrate your success instead of resenting it, who ask before taking, who show up not needing something but wanting to be here. The biological family, limited contact, very boundaried. Ryan finished treatment, 8 months clean from gambling. He pays restitution monthly, on time, without complaint. We text occasionally, surface level but honest. He's dating someone from recovery who understands addiction without enabling. Sarah moved home, works at a non-profit now. Last month's card. Thank you for not pressing charges. I'm getting help too. Mum and Dad paid back 40% so far, but more importantly, started family therapy to understand how they created dynamics where one child funded everyone else's security. We raised you to be responsible, Dad said recently, but forgot to teach you that you're not responsible for us. Progress. Slow, sometimes painful, but progress. Last month at my cousin's wedding, I saw extended family for the first time since everything came out. Whispers followed me. They always do when someone breaks the family silence code. When Aunt Linda cornered me asking about the situation, I didn't apologize or minimize. I chose myself, Aunt Linda. Finally. She looked confused, like self-preservation was foreign. Maybe she'd never learned the difference between loving someone and sacrificing yourself for them, but I have. That knowledge is worth more than any money they took. The lake house became something unexpected, not just sanctuary, but symbol, not of what they took, but what I gave back to myself. Every morning I sit here watching sunrise over water that belongs to me. Not inherited, not gifted, but claimed, fought for, won by refusing to let others' poor choices become my financial ruin. David finds me here most mornings, brings his coffee, sits quietly while I write, never asking what I'm working on or suggesting something more productive. He understands this peace isn't just rest, it's recovery. You're different than when I met you, he said last weekend. Calmer, more present. He's right. I'm not constantly calculating money, wondering if I can afford groceries after the next family emergency, not checking my phone every 5 minutes for the next crisis requiring immediate financial attention, not lying awake wondering if saying no makes me bad. I'm just here, in my own life, finally. Sometimes loving someone means refusing to enable them. Sometimes loving yourself means walking away from people who can't love you without taking something. Sometimes the family you choose is more real than the one you were born into. The sun sets now, painting the lake gold and pink. Tomorrow I'll return to my little house, the one they tried to steal but couldn't, and teach my 4th graders about math and reading and occasionally about standing up when someone tries to take what's yours. But tonight, I'm here. In peace built from ashes of toxic loyalty, in life created when I finally learned I was worth protecting. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just careful. That's not the same as being cold. That's the same as being free.